During the pandemic for the last year and a half, we socialized mostly via Zoom, if we socialized at all. It was very frustrating, and eventually they told us we could meet each other as long as we were outside and socially distanced. So, my friend Eric and I went to the park and had conversations. We filmed them, and here's a sample of one of those encounters where we chatted 6 feet apart.
You know, like I said, this is my first outing. Okay, that's not quite true. I saw my mother, socially distancing, and but that was kind of like sort of drop something off, and
well, it's not the same as just going out and seeing people as we used to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I used to plan things. It used to be like, okay, I'll go to the club on Wednesday, I'll see you Thursday, I'll have lunch with someone there, and now it's just sort of like, I'll Zoom you, and there's not much Zooming. It's like I'm in my apartment, and then I just put on a shirt. I have a special Zoom shirt that I wear, okay?
A Zoom shirt?
I have a Zoom shirt.
Oh my God, yes, I think I've seen it. It's kind of a plaid, right?
It's a plaid. That's what I'm
homey.
Yep, I have a casual one that's black. And one time I was about to Zoom, and I was in my T-shirt that I normally wear, which is holes right here. And I go, oh shit! And then I had to
Well, Sam, it's clear that you have been hibernating because you've gotten all woolly. I mean, you haven't had a haircut in too long.
Well, no one's had a haircut.
Well,
I wasn't given one. Did you give yourself a haircut?
Oh, I always do. I've been doing that for the last 5 years. I cut my own hair. And sometimes I take big swatches out of it. And once looked at my back and said, "Oh, Eric, what the heck?" And then she cut herself off because she didn't want to say anything more. But no, but I take care of myself, and I haven't felt. You've been very observant of the rules, which sort of surprises me because I've always thought of you as a bit of an anarchist to some degree, with a sense of good civic pride maybe, but also a sense of Yetzer hara, as the Yiddish people say, a devil in you.
Well, I do have a devil in me, but I don't feel like there was much that I could, by going out, I didn't feel like there was much to go out to.
Were you genuinely fearful of getting the virus and being affected by it badly?
I was fearful of, there was a fear. I don't know whether it was my own fear or just I felt the general fear, right? Like I would go out and there was this sense of panic, not like, you can't say it's a war zone, but you think, there's danger lurking at any corner.
And I think the times that I came into Manhattan, which were fairly frequently, the sense of desertion or of emptiness, of a general sense of, you're right, panic in a way, just by the streets being so remarkably deserted. It would make you feel that way. I didn't, but the Bronx was not anywhere near. My section of the Bronx was not as deserted. People were out and talking and moving around, not entirely normally, and definitely observing wearing a mask, but the social distancing was nowhere near as noticeable. And yet, I was very fortunate in that our neighborhood was very much open. The grocery stores were basically open, and I had easy access to them. The dollar store was open, and pretty easy. I waited in the line maybe twice for all of 5 minutes. So I felt there were things to do. Oh, also, and I got the free food. I went to the local school and got free lunches, and then there was something called Bistro X that was Central Kitchens was giving out very good dishes, dinners for one in a sealed container. And I got mine.
You went to your restaurant. You said, I got to go get my chicken and beans tonight.
Yeah.
I called you one night. And,
so I don't feel like I suffered terribly much. In fact, it's been a kind of a paid vacation by the government.
It's interesting to see these videos again for a number of reasons. First, we had no milestones last year. I mean, there's nothing that made us feel like we were living a life, and then there's nothing to remember that we had lived a life. It was like we just trudged through each day, which was the same. It wasn't so much unpleasant as tedious, which is its own form of unpleasantness. 2019, on the other hand, the last year where we had a regular life, well, we had things to look forward to, were things that we lived through, we had things that we remembered fondly. There were New Year's events, the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl parties, Valentine's Day, Easter, Memorial Day, 4th of July, summer picnics, state fairs, Labor Day, the fall, the leaves falling, maybe you went to an apple orchard, I don't know. Then you had Halloween, Thanksgiving, the holiday season. That was a life. That last year, if you look at my calendar, it is completely empty from March 16th. It seemed like we didn't have anything to do. We just lived one day after another, the same day after another. Some people said it was like Groundhog's Day. It wasn't like Groundhog's Day like the movie. In the movie on Groundhog's Day, you got to live the last day again, hoping to fix the mistakes you made that day, and then the next day you fix the mistakes you made on the second day. Now, we just lived, instead of fixing the mistakes we made the day before, we just lived the same mistake every day. 2, because we didn't personally socialize, and meeting via Zoom is not a form of personally socializing. When you see someone face to face, thousands of little micro bits of information and an emotion are transmitted between two people. And that's how you really communicate. And you get to know another person, and the other person will tell you how they feel exactly, not by their words, but by those micro emotions that you can't ignore when you're seeing someone face to face. Just by Zoom, it's just like, well, I don't know what I'm doing because I'm not getting any real feedback from another person or people. When I look at these videos, I can see somewhat objectively how I must have felt. Now, we just set up a camera, and Eric and I behaved pretty much the way we always behaved, which is a little fun. And I could tell that I had a certain amount of disinterest, and I was tired, and there's a tinge of helplessness involved. But I also could see that there was a true desire to connect, and even underneath there is an optimism that something is going to get better. Probably the biggest reason I look at these is because I think we're still kind of in that same state. I mean, yes, things are opening, theaters, stadiums, businesses, restaurants, but a lot of people aren't really willing or wanting to embrace what life was before this. I notice when I see people in public, there's still people who do keep their distance. In fact, some people still back away. Now, I realize that as we get vaccinated and things get better, we may not be having to live our lives physically 6 feet apart, but to this day, we're still living emotionally 6 feet apart.